The new manager is a loyal, hard-working employee.
Yes,
The obvious choice for the job.
he's right.
A name you all know. It starts with an S.
That's me.
Please welcome our new manager, Squidward Tentacles.
Make sure y'all stay on point with
The Puncher's Point.
Y'all, it's about that time. The second fight. Do we get justice this time? Or do we get a repeat? Do we finally get closure? Or do we end with more questions? Guess what fight that is, y'all? It is O'Shaquie Foster versus Robson Conceição 2 for the WBC 130-pound title. This fight will be in Verona, New York, November 8th. Y'all, man. It's crazy because I feel like this fight literally just happened. Now we not even that far from it, the rematch. Now, of course, obviously, as y'all know, the first fight ended with controversy. Obviously, O'Shaquie Foster got robbed, and a lot of people feel that Robson Conceição did not deserve that belt. So guess what? Where we're at right now? We're here with the rematch. But without further ado, I say let's just jump straight into it. Let's jump straight into the champion. Notice I did quotations for the champion. Okay? No offense, Robson Conceição. No offense. Okay, let's jump straight into Robson Conceição, right? Here's why. Can I say this about this fight? Robson Conceição's biggest weakness is O'Shaquie Foster's biggest strength. O'Shaquie Foster's biggest weakness is Robson Conceição's biggest strength. Allow me to elaborate. So, the reason I say this, because here's the thing with somebody like Robson Conceição. Robson Conceição, you know, he kind of reminds me of like those, you know, the Cuban type fighters. Like these fighters that's not necessarily from America, they typically have this style where they stand in pocket and they bang with you. When I mean they bang with you, they stand in the pocket with you. They go to your body, they mix up your punches, and not only that too, a lot of these fighters they have really hard hands. So a lot of these fighters, they have a lot of pop on their punches. They're carrying a lot of power. So a lot of these fighters, they tend to be in the pocket type fighters. So something like a Robson Conceição, if you go look at his highlights and whatnot, you always see he's throwing those short punches. Why? Because he's an inside fighter. And one thing I can tell you about Robson Conceição is that he can. It's crazy because when he's in the pocket, you probably think he's one of the most slickest, quickest boxer with his hands and whatnot. And obviously shown in the first fight that that's not really the case too, but that's how good he is in the inside. This man has pop on his punches. He can go to your body. And not only that too, but he tends to have some quick, slick head movement at times. And sometimes if he doesn't use his head movement, he lets his footwork make up for the head movement. Not saying he always uses head movement, but at times he does use his head movement. So to say that the most is that, and not only that too, but if he gets you against the ropes too, which is I don't want to kind of like killing right now, but that is also another one of O'Shaquie's weakness. He can get you to the ropes too, and when he gets you to the ropes too, he does tend to apply a lot and tons of pressure on you, and that pressure he has too, already on top of him having power, on top of him always putting those punches up together, and you don't know where he's going to hit you. He can hit you to the body, he can hit you in your arms. You don't know where those punches are coming. All you know is that they're coming, and you have to find a way to get out of those punches before they can really hurt you. So that's as far as Conceição's strengths. His weakness is that when he's in the outside, and you can tell when he throw those long punches and whatnot, that's typically not what he's wanting to do. Because like I said, if you go look at his training highlights, you see he throws a lot of short punches, which means he's training and preparing himself to fight in the inside. Like I just said, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, sound racist or anything, but if you look at the history, a lot of foreign fighters, they tend to have a fighting style where they stand in the pocket and they like to break you down round by round by round. And that's the kind of style Robson Conceição has, where he's in that pocket. He's in there to break you down. He's in there to mix it up with you and tire you out. So he can apply those power punches on you, those heavy punches in the later round, and potentially get the stoppage. So because of that, he's not so keen on being on the outside as seen in the first fight. If you put him on the outside and whatnot, if you can keep him at the end of your jab, you can basically beat him. So I'll say that as far as his weakness and whatnot, he's not the best on the outside. And I feel like anybody with just a decent jab can keep him on the outside of that punch. And if you can do that, you can beat him. So to just keep it short and brief, that would be my breakdown for Robson Conceição.
Robson Conceição has been with Top Rank for a very, very long time, and he's fought some of the very best. I mean, Shakur Stevenson, Navarrete, Valdez, Shockey Foster, we can go on and on. But the whole narrative was he could never become a champion until the robbery with Shockey Foster. Now, the strengths for Robson Conceição, look, you got to watch out for those body punches because he is a body killer, Conceição. Conceição will go to that body and he will kill you in that body. And his punches, they pack a punch in that body, especially because he has like a little slap that he does with that body. He's not that type of guy to kind of sneak his way to the inside and hit you in the liver. No, he is the type of guy that's going to start straight off with the body. He's got a little bit of an awkward style as well, but in his prime, it used to work for him. Robson Conceição is the perfect example of a fighter who had so much athleticism when he first got into the game, and then as time went on, as he started to age, the athleticism started to slip. If you go back and you look at his early highlights, Robson Conceição, he was that type of guy that would hit you with a 3-punch, 4-punch combination and slip out. What happened was, as he got older, you can't really do that no more. Conceição, he's in his close to his mid-30s, and he's not doing what he used to do when he was getting out of the Olympics. I mean, let's not discredit Robson Conceição. This is a former Olympic gold medalist. So, I mean, the guy is accomplished. However, the problem is the athleticism that he had when he was 20 years old, it's not there no more, Breezy. And that's a reason why I feel like he kind of sticks to the inside, is because it doesn't require a lot of movement. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have any foot movement or any head movement at all. He has a little bit, but it's not what he used to be when he was young. Another strength of his is, again, he's a very good pressure puncher. What I noticed in the Shockey Foster fight was, even though he got beat clearly, I mean, it was clearly a robbery. What I noticed in the Shockey Foster fight was he did a very good job of setting up his punches. And again, it started with the body. And Shockey Foster, there were moments where he did get clipped a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like at this point in Robson Conceição's career, he's relying a lot on pressure and hoping for a knockout, opposed to what he used to do when he was younger, which is 2, 3, 4-punch combinations and slip out. Now, as far as some of the weaknesses of Robson Conceição, he's not too good. So he's a great body puncher, but when he gets hit in the body, he doesn't respond very, very well. And fighters like Shockey Foster is his weakness. I mean, we can go back and we can look at how Shakur Stevenson dominated him. And the way he did it was by basically just counterpunching Robson Conceição. Another weakness of Robson Conceição's is he runs into punches. When you're a pressure fighter, I mean, Breezy's right. When you're a pressure fighter and that's what your style is I'm going to keep on coming forward, I'm going to keep on pressuring you, but you rely more on the offense than the defense, what's going to happen is when you meet a defensive fighter, that's when everything can go wary. You can't go into a fight with somebody like Shockey Foster and just keep on coming forward, or else he's going to pop you with a jab. And a lot of people are going to say, well, even though it was a robbery, why didn't Shockey Foster do that during the night? And as I go through Shockey Foster's breakdown, I'm going to explain why. However, with Robson Conceição, if you go back and look at that Shakur Stevenson fight, Shakur Stevenson did a very good job of just making sure Conceição ran into the punches. That's what he did. And honestly, with Conceição, it wasn't really that hard to do. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not as athletic as he used to be, like I mentioned before. He has a wider stance than what he used to. And because of that, it's easy to land body shots on him. And Shakur Stevenson really hurt him with a body shot. And overall, he hurt him with a body shot. Navarrete hurt him and knocked him down. Oscar Valdez did his work against him. If you can get Conceição to run into your punches, you're golden. Again, let me tell you something. Put it this way. You can't go blow for blow with Robson Conceição and expect to win unless you're a really hard power puncher. If you're Shockey Foster, that's not the way you're going to win this fight. You have to go in there and you have to counterpunch him. You have to make sure that he lands into your punches. That's the way you're going to beat him. And so with Robson Conceição, I feel like as far as his strengths, he doesn't have the athleticism no more, but I do feel like Robson Conceição, as much as he is kind of, pushing on the later end of his career, he should start looking at saving his stamina, saving his energy, and being able to kind of learn how to counterpunch a little bit, learn how to use that head movement, learn how to kind of keep his range and distance his opponents. Look, regardless of how he won the belt, Conceição can retire saying that he is a world champion. He can retire saying that. But here's the thing: it's one thing to win the title, it's another thing to defend it. So with Robson Conceição, I feel like he should rely on his biggest strengths, which is attack that body. And you start from the body and go up to the head and kind of use your pressure to kind of push O'Shaquie Foster back. And again, go back to doing those 3-punch combinations and slipping out. But even though he doesn't have the athleticism like he used to, I still believe that is a factor that can work. But at the same time, you can't just keep coming forward like a train and expecting that you're just gonna go in there and keep on pressuring Foster for 12 rounds. It's not gonna happen. He's going to figure you out and he's going to knock you out if you continue to do that. Robson Conceição, he's going to have to keep his energy. He's going to have to keep his stamina for the later rounds because that's when it matters the most. And on top of that, he's going to have to use his pressure in short stints. 3-4 punch combinations and slip out. And last but not least, start everything off with the body. Force O'Shaquie Foster to drop his hands. That would be the whole keys to victory I would have for Robson Conceição.
Now, on to O'Shaquie Foster. Let me go and jump straight into this. Okay, just like I said earlier, O'Shaquie Foster's biggest weakness is Conceição's biggest strength. So now let's get into why I said that, right? Okay. His strengths, I'll say this. When O'Shaquie Foster have you at the end of his jab, that's some of the best boxing he gives you. He has his backhand ready for you to counterpunch you. And sometimes he controls that lead hand, and sometimes he can push you back with the jab. Sometimes he can come to your body. And sometimes, at times, he does have like a Philly shell type stance where he does kind of parry your shots off. And because he does have that kind of defense or whatnot, he can respond quickly with a punch back. And not only that too, but he has a way of, getting into the inside at times. But I feel like even when he tries to get at the inside, it's not really his best bet because it seems like anytime he gets an inside or whatnot, he's always met with some kind of punches or somebody that's always out brawling him or out fighting him in that inside. So in a fight this magnitude, I feel like he's gonna have to definitely avoid the inside as much as he can. Definitely don't be on the ropes. Definitely don't be on the ropes too, because if you watch O'Shaquie Foster fights, anytime he gets up against those ropes and whatnot, he's constantly getting pressure. And at times it does like the shots he get hit with against those ropes, like they're taking the wear and tear on them. And at times I sometimes think like, are these shots going to hurt him? Is this going to slow him down? Because if you look at the blueprint, he's more like a hit and I get hit type fighter, right? I don't want to say similar to Devin Haney, but he's basically there to box you. He can counter you and he can push you back, but it's at the rate of what you're going at. Because if you pressure O'Shaquie, the pressure can overtake him at times, and sometimes he does take those shots, even if he is trying to keep it in his jab. But he's gonna have to definitely use his defense. Now here's the thing: he does have defense. I don't want to make it seem like he's just taking shots to the face all night. He does have defense. He does have a pullback counter turn defense that he does, but overall and whatnot, I mean, the blue and I already know. Oh, the robbery. Some people saying that he has to get a knockout to win. He has to get a knockout to win. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake of getting the same judges. I don't think they're going to do that. I think if you get a different set of judges and you replica the first fight into this fight, I think they give it to O'Shaquie. But at the same time, though, too, just because you won the first fight does not mean you got let off. If you can get that knockout, by all means, that would be great. So I would really recommend O'Shaquie to keep that jab on him, keep range, keep the distance upon him, and if you can, go to his body. If you can go to his body and keep that distance in range, and keep him in the middle of that ring. If you keep him in the middle of that ring all night, he's not going to be able to really do anything to you, even if he does try to pressure you. You stand back on the back foot with that counter backhand that you got, and just outbox him. And like I said, you can hurt him. It's been shown in the past that Conceição can be hurt. So if you can hurt him, Who knows? Maybe maybe Foster can get the stoppage.
Foster is Oshaki Foster. He is a very, very good boxer. And he's very good with managing his range and his distance. Again, I've seen many times where he's able to cut angles. He's able to land 2-3 punch combinations and kind of cut angles and basically kind of shift the way he does. Now, what I really like about Oshaki Foster is I like how he is able to basically kind of control the pace of a fight. He does that very, very well. He controls the pace and where it's going to be at. However, there's sometimes, and we've seen it with the Abraham Nova fight, where the pressure seems like a little bit too much, and he ends up kind of going into a territory where he shouldn't be in, which is going blow for blow with some of these guys. Like I said, you don't want to do that with Robson Conceição. All right. Now, I said I was going to answer it. Well, if it was so easy, why didn't he just beat Robson Conceição with counter punches? Well, first of all, it was a robbery. But number two, it's because Oshaki Foster is a good boxer. But the problem is he's not fully developed yet. You can tell that he's not ready for the 135-pound division if he moved up. He's not ready for the 140-pound division if he moved up. If you looked at some of his other recent fights, he doesn't have the same killer instinct that he had. Now, Breezy did say that he doesn't believe that Oshaki Foster needs or desperately needs a knockout to win this fight because he doesn't feel like the judges are going to make the same mistake twice. I do agree with that. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice. However, for Oshaki Foster's reputation, I think he does need a knockout. But how is he going to get it? If you go look at Oshaki Foster's recent fights, it seems like he's kind of aiming for a knockout. It seems like he's kind of forcing it a little bit. You're not going to get a knockout that way because you're exerting energy that you're not supposed to be exerting. And at the same time, you're backing away from the game plan. Oshaki Foster's best knockouts have came from counterpunching. He's got a really, really good overhand right, a very, very good overhand right, and he's got a sneaky left hook. I care more about the overhand right than the sneaky left hook because the overhand right is a very, very deadly punch, just like the left hook. But the problem is the overhand right, that one is one that you're not going to see coming. The left hook is kind of his finisher punch, but the overhand right is the one that you're not going to see coming. And that's the reason why I believe he can beat Robson Conceição. All you got to do is just wait for Robson Conceição to react and hit him first. That's it. And it's not that hard to do, Oshaki. You're a younger guy. You know what I'm saying? Robson Conceição, he's on the later leg of his career. You are the younger guy. You are the faster guy. You are the quicker guy. You need to use that. Don't let Robson Conceição get to your body. Don't let Robson Conceição push you away from the middle of the ring. You stay in the middle of the ring, you counterpunch him, and you assert your ground. That's what he needs to do. I feel like sometimes Oshaki Foster, as great as he is with controlling range, I feel like sometimes that pressure is a little bit too much for him, and he gives up some space, and he shouldn't be doing that, And like you said, there's many times where he's gotten pressured and he's gotten backed up against those ropes, and you can't be there, and especially any fighter, I don't care who the fighter is, you can't be on those ropes. It's just something you can't do. You can't be on those ropes, and you can't rely to stay on those ropes. Now, some of the weaknesses with Oshaki Foster as well is I do believe that he tends to take some punches to the body that he shouldn't be taking. Again, Oshaki Foster is not fully developed as a boxer. When Oshaki Foster gets fully developed, he's going to be he's going to be hard to beat. I mean, that is going to be a hard boxer to beat. He reminds me a lot of Shakur Stevenson. Okay, and this is why I say that he needs to rely on his counterpunching ability and he needs to stop trying to force a knockout, or else what's going to happen? They're going to compare him to Shakur Stevenson, and it's going to be the negative narrative. All right, this is Oshaki Foster's first time headlining a pay-per-view, I believe, in Verona, New York. He needs to get, in my opinion, he needs a knockout. But I don't think he should be forcing the knockout. If Oshaki Foster fights his fight, he will get that knockout. But if he continues to come forward and thinks that he's just going to go and bully Conceição, he's not getting it. And on top of that, he could be in trouble that night. He could be in deep waters. I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to feel like he has to force a knockout because he tried that with Abraham Nova. Did not work. He tried that with Ray Vargas. He beat him. Did not work. Conceição, there were moments where I feel like he tried that. It did not work. See, what happens is with Oshaki Foster, instead of throwing those combinations that you're so good at throwing, he'll try to throw a one punch. He'll try to throw a one punch to try to take him out. That's not your fight. Oshaki Foster, look, you might got some underrated power, but you are not a one-hitter quitter. You are going to win by basically counterpunching this guy. You're going to win by sneaking in one of those shots and beating him. That's how you're going to beat Robson Conceição. So to me, the keys to victory for O'Shaquie Foster getting a dominant victory and not getting robbed this time is basically just let Conceição run into your punches. All right. Definitely, attack the body as much as you can early so you can kind of waste his stamina and endurance so when he gets to those later rounds. And at the same time, when the time is right, you land that overhand right. And in the meantime, as the fight goes on, keep landing that left hook. Just do as much damage as you possibly can until the later rounds, like 8, 9, around that round. And the next thing you know, all you got to do is land that overhand right. He will not see it coming. So that would be my prediction, or not even prediction, because we haven't got there yet. That would be my breakdown of O'Shaquie Foster. Now, as far as betting odds, now every single website has different betting odds. DraftKings got O'Shaquie Foster at minus 400. Other betting companies got him at minus 220. It's obviously kind of like flip-flopping right now, but O'Shaquie Foster is the favorite. Conceição is the underdog. So, what should you pick? Well, in my opinion, I'm going to go O'Shaquie Foster. Hate to say, I don't want to sound pessimistic. I'm going to go O'Shaquie Foster majority decision. I think this is going to be a fight where O'Shaquie Foster is going to try to force that knockout, and he's going to put himself in some predicaments that he shouldn't be putting himself in. I think this is going to be a lot closer of a fight than it was the last time. I think Conceição has a lot to learn from last fight, and I think that Conceição will make the adjustments because even though he's on the later leg of his career, he's been kind of barely surviving. I mean, we look at the Navarrete fight, that was a draw. That needs to get ran back immediately. We look at the O'Shaquie Foster fight, he got gifted a win. I feel like Robson Conceição is going to kind of slide away with not a win, but I think he's going to slide away with like another. He's not going to get the decision. That's going to go to O'Shaquie Foster, but this is going to be a fight where we look at it and we're going to go, Conceição might not be out of the title picture. So I think O'Shaquie Foster, I think he's going to win the early rounds. I think that Robson Conceição is going to kind of have some rounds in the middle where he kind of takes over a little bit. The pressure is going to get to O'Shaquie Foster. I think O'Shaquie Foster will pick it up in the later rounds. And I think it's going to be like a 115, 113, or a 116, 112. But I think one of the judges is going to have that a draw for champion's advantage. So I'm going to go majority decision. O'Shaquie Foster is going to win his belt back. But there's going to be a lot of criticism surrounding O'Shaquie Foster. That's going to be my prediction.
I got O'Shaquie Foster by unanimous decision. I think this fight is going to be very, very dominant. I think O'Shaquie is going to. I mean, I'm hoping. I'm banking on it that he's not going to go in there emotional. I'm banking on it that he's going to go in there and follow the game plan. I do believe in the early rounds he's going to control the pace, and I think later on he's going to turn it up on Conceição. And I do believe at one point he's going to hurt Conceição, but I don't think he's going to stop him. I think it's going to get close near to where it looks like he's going to stop him. But I think that dog in Conceição, I think he's going, I think he's going to throw some punches too. I think he's going to throw some in the inside and whatnot. And he's going to make O'Shaquie realize, like, okay, let's get back to the outside. So it's going to kind of be tick for tag. But I do think it's going to be early on controlled by O'Shaquie. And I think in the middle part, towards the end of the part, it's going to kind of be like fight for fight, brawl for brawl. But I do think O'Shaquie is going to be playing it more safe now. And I do think O'Shaquie will cruise to a unanimous decision and win back his belt.
All right, so we got majority decision and unanimous decision. And again, Breezy asked the questions earlier in this episode. Will there be closure or will there be more questions? Breezy believes there's going to be closure. I believe there's going to be more questions. That's why you got to tune in November 8th. Again, Verona, New York, for the WBC 130-pound title. Let me explain something to y'all. This is a very, very important fight in that division because who knows what it sets up? Who knows what happened? The aftermath of this fight, it's going to set up a lot of things. O'Shaquie Foster wins this fight, and I mean, Navarrete's still in the picture. Valdez is still in the picture. You know what I'm saying? Abraham Nova rematch might still happen. You never know. Conceição wins that, and it's the same guys in that title picture. Again, this 130-pound WBC championship fight is going to be important. And that's why you need to tune in, because there's a lot more hype in this fight than there was in the first one. You know what I'm saying? The first one was a co-main event. It was on somebody's undercard. This one's its own fight, its own event, and y'all got to tune in. But with that being said, we are going to be right back here after that fight happens, and we're going to say it one more time. Y'all got to continue to tune into the podcast. We got Reddit, we got Discord, we got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got Twitter, we got Threads. Make sure y'all tune into all the social medias. Make sure y'all tune into all the podcasts, the YouTube. Make sure y'all get active, get interactive with all the content. Put your comments down below. Give me your predictions. Who you got winning between O'Shaquie Foster and Robson Conceição 2. Overall, though, there's one thing that we need to tell y'all. We tell y'all every single episode, and this is important, okay? Make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.
What's good, y'all? Y'all know what it is. It's the Puncher's Point. We live every week. Make sure y'all tune in with us. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. And y'all already know what to do. Make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.